Tyler Boyd, who was wide receiver 30 last year, 67 receptions, 94 targets, 828 yards, 5 touchdowns, 17.41% of the target share. Thoughts on Tyler Boyd?
As far as the Bengals are concerned, this is where you get the most value off of this team, right? Is if you want a piece of this offense, you're not necessarily wanting to pay up. Maybe you miss your guy. He didn't fall to you the way that you wanted. Tyler Boyd is um, kind of a last ditch effort, and it's okay because he is being drafted so late. So I like Tyler Boyd. I like the value that I can get with him because generally he's going to be your fourth wide receiver taken in a lot of cases. But again, it's not overly consistent, right? Joe Burrow did a pretty good job of not keying in on one guy, and when one player had the hot hand, he'd feature him for that game, but it wasn't something where he continuously forced the ball into anybody really outside of Jamar Chase. So Boyd probably has a little bit more appeal in a best ball league as just kind of a well-rounded option. You can capitalize on the 1 or 2 weeks a season where he really stands out, and you're not being penalized for some of the other weeks. I think he's a wide receiver worth having though, because if Higgins or Chase goes down for whatever reason, Boyd does naturally increase target share, increase usage, the volume all comes with it, and so now you're taking a guy that you got to draft in the later rounds, mid to late rounds, and he gets pushed back up into that bottom end of wide receiver 2 territory.
Yeah, I think he can return value, right? He's coming off the board at wide receiver 51, 133 overall. So you're talking about, a guy that you're going to be taking towards the tail end of the 11th round there. And there's some value that's going to happen there because Tyler Boyd will probably put up 2 to 3 wide receiver 1 type of weeks for you, or wide receiver 1 territory weeks for you. But they are going to be inconsistent, and they are going to be a bit harder to predict there. But he is a nice depth piece for you, and he's a guy that certainly can return value. I don't think that it's going to be tremendous value, but you're probably talking drafting him wide receiver 51 and him finishing probably somewhere in the neighborhood of like wide receiver 40 to 35, somewhere kind of in that range there. So, fringe wide receiver 3 territory, I think, is where you kind of see him finish there.